Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the shop. Today we're working on a 2011 Edge here, and we're changing out this old, dirty, leaking, burnt up power transfer unit. Now what's a power transfer unit? Well, it's basically a small transfer case, but these always spin. There's no changing of ratios in these or changing from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive. They're always spinning, okay? And they mount up on the side of the transmission, on the right-hand side of the transmission, right there, line right in and bolt up to it. And then they splice off to the rear drive shaft, okay? So it goes all the way back. This is always spinning as long as the vehicle's in motion. And then right here at the coupling, the RDU, they call it the rear differential unit, is where it actually can split off and separate with a magnetic clutch. You can see the wire right there for it. And then behind it bolts right up to a regular rear differential. Now, the problem with these and why they fail so often is because they are surrounded by heat. There's only about a quart of fluid inside of there, no external cooling, and they have the transmission, the engine, and the catalytic converter right here baking the fluid inside of there. Yes, so this big old cat right here is right next to it, just baking the 1 quart of rear axle fluid inside of here. Now the most common failure associated with these is leaks, and it's usually the intermediate shaft seal leak over here, and sometimes input shaft seal leak and compression over here. So what I want to do today is just go over where all these different parts are and what you need to fix it depending on what's leaking. Now there's 75-140 coming out of here, but it also bolts up to the transmission over here. You can see right here, which has transmission fluid in it. So you don't want the two to mix, and the two can leak depending on which seal is actually leaking. So we're gonna go over that today and show you exactly what to repair depending on the leak. Let's take a look at this new one over here so we can show you much better what's going on here. Like I said, these only have a quart inside them of axle fluid. There's no external cooling, and they're surrounded by high heat sources. So the fluid inside there is gonna break down quite rapidly. So changing the fluid in here every 30,000 miles or sooner is a very, very good idea. And just recently, Ford has come out and acknowledged that, what I've been saying all along. You want to change it out very, very often. The problem is there's only a fill port on here, no drain. So you need to use a suction device and get it out of there. Every 30,000 miles or so, it'll prevent a lot of these failures on here because they're all coming back to fluid breakdown issues, okay? So the seals that you have leaking on here, which is the most common failure, this one right here is an output shaft seal leak. It's like a pinion seal leak. These don't leak too often, but they're common enough. The more common failure is the intermediate shaft seal, which is inside of here, okay? It's right down inside of here. Let's see if you can get it. See where that grease is right there? There's a little seal inside of there, and that seals off to the half shaft that sticks through it, which is right here. So it seals up right there to the shaft, and that keeps transmission fluid from just puking out of here, okay? So if you have transmission fluid puking out of here on the right-hand axle shaft, then you know the intermediate shaft seal leak has failed, and that's the most common one. In order to get to that, you need to get to the cover seal, which is behind this deflector right here, okay? So you're gonna change both of them out either way. Now over here, let's see if we can take a look over here. There are 2 more seals over here. Now again, this is lining up to the transmission directly, and this whole tube right here is full of transmission fluid. That's why it's so important on the other side over there to seal it off with the half shaft on there. But you also need to keep that transmission fluid from leaking out around the case here. So they have a compression seal right here on the outside, and that keeps fluid leaking out of there. Now also there is an input shaft seal right here. You can see it deep down in there where it's greased right there, and that one keeps PTU fluid, which is the rear axle fluid, from leaking out, okay, and getting into the transmission. So there's a lot of different seals going on here, and you need to know which one you need depending on what kind of leak you're seeing. So if you're seeing any kind of leaks over here, okay, of course you're gonna have to pull the whole transmission, whole powertrain transfer unit down. So when you do that, you're gonna need these 2 seals right here. So If you are going to the other side, of course, you're going to need all the seals except for the output side here. So it's just one of those things to know where the leak is coming from, what's leaking, and how to fix it. These, like I said, the intermediate shaft seal is the most common. You'll see trans fluid all over the side here, whereas this one's probably second. Now these also have issues, like I said, with the fluid breaking down, bearings starting to pit and lock up and get extra hot in here, or if some people that service these overfill them, they will build enough pressure and fluid to start puking out the top here on the vent. And that can leak down and look like any one of these leaks over here. So before you start going after any of these other leak points, you want to make sure it's not puking out the vent up here, okay? Very, very important. All right, that's about it. I just wanted to go over everything while it was apart so it's nice and clear for you guys to see exactly what's going on with these, how they mount up to the side of the transmission, because it is interesting how it all mounts up on there, how it all works. That one right there, the Taurus Show, is actually in for the output shaft seal leaking on there. So as you can see, both these vehicles are in here right now for PTU problems, and it just goes to show how common they are. Now in the future, before I send this one back, I'll likely open up the side cover on here and do another video on how it fails inside of there, just to show and give a good reminder to all-wheel drive owners to maintain the fluid in here. Ford says it's filled for life, and now they're starting to scale back on that and come back to recommendations that I have had for years. I'll see you guys next time.